got really good news. Found out that my coach here at school can actually coach me because there was this long dispute, whatever, on whether or not that was going to be legal or not. But we just found out I just found out like a couple minutes ago that he's going to be able to coach me. So I'll finally going to be able to go to practice and have a structured practice instead of kind of getting in, which I was kind of doing things structured, but it's just easier with the coach telling you there and yelling at you, and you guys understand.
Sorry, my camera died. So, finishing this on my phone. But, yeah, I was an athlete for the NCAA, and my coach is a coach for the NCAA, but season's over. I'm no longer an athlete. So, technically, we were like, it should be legal, because a lot of club coaches do that too. They're like, I'm a college coach, but technically the way we looked at it is that I'd be a club swimmer as of this point. So, we got to go to do that. So tomorrow, I think we're gonna. Oh, actually, I don't think we're gonna start practice tomorrow, but this week, no later, we're gonna be starting practices together, which I'm excited for because I really like Coach Chaos. So yeah, bigger updates. I'm swimming worlds this year. So it was kind of up in the air. I knew I was swimming the Pan American Games in Lima, Peru, but now I'm also swimming at the World Championships in South Korea. So that's also exciting. So I'm definitely gonna be training for that. Another day at the pool. I don't want to get in.
I'm tired, really sore, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy, so I'm talking to a camera. Except, I always do. Well, I actually didn't do it this year that much, but I usually do freestyle down kick and butterfly back. Freestyle down, and then butterfly kick back. I do a lot of butterfly kicks, just because it's important, but my butterfly kick is faster than all my other kicks, so my freestyle kicks is slow.
I got my work in today, which was a pretty good swim. Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. So now it's time to just go and clean up and get to dinner. So let's go. So what's up, guys? So like I said, you know, I'm gonna start doing every once in a while, just interviewing athletes and just kind of talking about them, and we're gonna talk about stuff together. So Angel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Angel Clemente. If you don't already have Gearby on all his other social media sites, you probably already know who I am. But
Yeah, you're in a lot of them.
yeah, I'm a senior at Manchester University. I am studying digital media communications, so hoping to be a sports broadcaster with that one day. But who knows? Right now, I might leaning halfway with that and coaching. So we'll see what the future holds. But that's about it.
Yeah, quick, just a little background information. Angel actually went to, we were actually talking about going to school kind of together before, like, our senior year, but he ended up taking an opportunity he really couldn't pass up at the time and went to a 2-year program
Yep.
at Chicago Heights, and I ended up recruiting him to go to Manchester. So we want to really briefly just touch up on that.
Yeah, so my senior year of high school, I was going to go play at the University of Southern Indiana in Evansville, which was a D2 soccer program. And I was going to go play there. Wasn't going to play a whole lot, but
Awkward.
yeah, I think a couple weeks before graduation, a coach from this junior college in Illinois, just south of Chicago, he contacted me and offered me a scholarship to come play for his school. And he came to my club practices and stuff. He 2 other guys on my club team had committed too. So I said, why not? Let's do it. And we got an apartment up there and lived there for a year. And after a year of that, figured out that school was absolutely not for me. The team environment was not super great. I loved all the players there. All the guys became my bros, and I still miss them and stuff. But the schooling was not for me. That atmosphere was it wasn't a place that I needed to be in for me to grow into who I was. So I was talking to Gary one night, telling him that I wasn't very happy there, and I asked him about his swim program, and he's like, well, we're doing pretty great, we're growing, we don't have any divers, but we need them. And I was like, I miss diving, kind of. And then I talked to my other friend, Simeon Gassinal, who was on the soccer team here, and I told him basically the same thing. He's like, dude, you should come play, like, you would fit in perfectly here with this team. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll look into it. And then all of a sudden I got a call from the soccer coach, and then I got a call from the swim coach, and I came for a couple visits, stayed with Gary. And basically after that, I knew that Manchester was my next destination. So I've been here ever since.
It's been a roller coaster ride.
Yes, it has.
So we got 4 questions. So Angel, you got a couple, or you got one specifically you got 2. So first question is, how did you get started in soccer?
I've been playing for I don't know how long as I can remember. I'm pretty sure because it's my dad has been playing since he was younger. My mom played when she was younger, and they both still play to this day, and they're like in their 50s. So kudos to them. But I've been playing as long as I can remember being able to kick a ball. So I would not be able to precisely give you what year I started or whatever. I just know that as long as my memory can go back, that I've been kicking the ball around the net. So it's been my entire life that soccer has been beside me. So
that's good. The next question directed towards Angel, or for Angel, is, Angel, what do you like better, soccer or diving, and why?
That's a hard one. That's a very, very hard one. I think I like both of them for different reasons over the other. I'd say I like soccer over diving because of like the team atmosphere there. So you get a lot more interaction with more people, and because it's more of a team sport, you really grow with it, like with your teammates, and you guys really come and become a family there. So like all the guys here at Manchester, I love playing with all of them. They're so much fun to play with. So for that reason, the team atmosphere aspect of it and being able to play with other people, I love soccer for that over diving. For diving, I guess I would say I love it more because it's a little bit more of a thrill. I mean, it's some might say that diving is kind of a more boring sport, but I guess the knowledge and strategy that you need to really make everything come together and work make it such a beautiful sport to me, and it really is like almost like art in one aspect. But I love the individuality of that, and I guess really just how whatever you throw into it is what you're gonna get out. So like with soccer, I can be as good as I want, but I'm only one player out of 10. And so if for any reason my team isn't good, I can be as good as I want, but it's not going to do anything. But with diving, every single piece, every single like minute, hour, or everything that I devote to diving will come back and work in my favor, and I'll be more successful because of it. So I can get more success out of all of the work that I put into it. So I guess that's one of the reasons. It's a lot more rewarding, like individually rewarding for that. So, but I if I were to have to pick one over the other, like indefinitely, I would not be able to tell you which one.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, also to kind of back that up, it's really cool because we, as a smaller program, have the divers usually practice with us. I mean, not all the time, but a lot of times. So we get to see what they're putting in, and like, we get to know how hard they're working, and they get to see how hard we're working. But no, it's really cool to just kind of see the little things that go into diving, and you'd be surprised how like technical and how much the little things matter, and it's really cool. So yeah, so good. Here's a question from actually one of my swimmers. It's kind of funny, but it says, "What's the hardest?" I guess this is for just us to answer together. But what's the hardships of being a student athlete? If you want to take that one on first, and I can back you up.
I think probably one of the biggest hardships of being a student athlete is time management.
Yes.
And knowing how to manage your time. And like a lot of people will say that if you take like a visit to any college or anything like that, they'll probably say like time management. That's probably one of the first things overall, even as a first year coming in, is probably like time management is the thing that's going to get you through your first year or two alive. So if you can balance when to get your work done and setting aside that, and still being able to be devoted for a sport, especially considering if you're like Division III or something, or if you're not on any scholarship money at all, if you're like a walk-on or something, it becomes really hard to stay in love with that sport that you're in, and also have to stay devoted to the school and trying to be involved on campus and be in clubs and everything like that. So being able to manage everything is for sure one of the hardest things.
Yeah, definitely kind of going off of time management. There's also, to break down even further, you have to be very, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be very willing to say no to things. Like, you have to be able to just be, like, grounded, I guess. You just got to be able to say, like, no, I can't do that, or I got to put that aside. You know, at the beginning of the year, we have team meetings like every team does, talking about what we can and can't do. And there's a lot of can'ts on the list just because as a student athlete, you are held to such a higher standard than, I guess, your average student, because you're representing the school in a broader scale, in my opinion. So there's just so many things you have to be able to say no to, and there are a lot of things you just have to be able to just be like more aware, I guess. That's the biggest thing, is being aware. You good?
Yeah.
Well, thirsty. But yeah, would you agree that's like being aware? Not like, and I'm not trying to say like going out and doing crazy stuff, but like with social media, you just have to be a little smarter than normal.
Yeah, you have to have your own self-awareness to be able to talk to yourself and tell yourself what you can and can't do. Because if you go off listening to everybody else, I guarantee you will not end up doing what's best for you, and consequences probably won't be that great.
I also think one of the hardest things, this is something people wouldn't really think about, is being able to not separate yourself, but find groups outside of your athletic team.
Yeah.
Because like so especially swimming, you'll definitely get, especially as a first year, you're gonna get real comfortable with your team because they're there with you all the time, and it's gonna be very easy to stick with them because it's hard to find friends in college. But if someone were to ask me about like what should I do as a first year, I would definitely be like, find multiple groups of friends outside of your sports team.
And the best way to do that, because it's very easy to just stick with your team because that's who you have during preseason, or those are the first group of people you meet, and they're the ones you have in common, like you have like something in common automatically and stuff. But being able to find other groups, you can join clubs. So find out what clubs exist on campus, and that's another way to find people who are interested in the same things as you. Expand like your interest in classes. So go like, if you have room to take like interesting classes, take some interesting classes, even though they don't matter for like your major. You can't ever like waste a class if you like what it's teaching. And that way you can meet other people, because then you're not just taking classes in your major with the same people, you're taking classes with other people who you might otherwise have never met. Find events that are going on in your like on campus and stuff, like whether they're dances or they're like game nights or anything like that. That's another awesome way to find people. But you have to be willing to get out there and do it too. You can't just show up to the things and then stand in the corner and not do anything. That's never going to get you anywhere. The people will know who you are, like what you look like, but they're not going to know you unless you like show up willing to be involved. And honestly, that makes the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And time to go on to our last question that was submitted, and this is a very odd question, but we're going to try our best. It's, what's the difference from being a D1 athlete and being a D3 athlete?
Money.
Okay.
Money.
That's the biggest thing.
Money.
For D1, you are getting paid. That's like just flat out the biggest thing. You're there.
Money.
You're there for money. And for D3, you're there for, and so D3 schools like to pride themselves on the idea that you're a student athlete. We put student first, and that's kind of the whole idea of D3, is that you're there for academics, but athletics is more of what's the word I'm looking for? It's just more of like, athletics for D3 is more just something that's there to add on to your college experience. It's not, they don't want to advertise athletics as the main reason, and for D3, their point is that they want academics to be the main thing.
Yeah. I think I can basically agree with all of that. Not everybody in D1 is getting money, but they're getting a lot more perks of it. And they're definitely like excelling a lot more. They're D1. They're way better level than we are for a reason. And at the same time, it's one of the good and bad things about D3 is that they'll take whoever comes and tries out, which is great because it gives anybody an opportunity to keep playing if they want to. But at the same time, allowing that sometimes lowers the level of competition in those sports. But at the same time, usually if they can hang, they'll suffer through it, and you earn the respect doing that. But regardless, even just playing Division III sports is not it's not a joke. Like you have to really, really love the sport, especially to have to stick with it and stay committed for it.
Yeah, for 4 years.
For 4 years without getting any benefits at all, except maybe a couple T-shirts here and there, and getting to maybe skip a couple classes for athletic events. But besides that, you're not getting anything out of it. You're there on your own time because you want to be, not because you have to be. And any coach in Division III will tell you that. If you make that excuse that, well, you're not giving me money, why should I do what you ask? Then the coach immediately will say, then get out of here. Because if you don't want to listen, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here. And you're not going to waste their time, and they're not going to waste yours. But definitely money and just level, I guess, are huge differences. But
yeah, no, that's a good point. Especially the part where you have to love it. And I sometimes think, after being a D3 athlete for 4 years, I sometimes get to the point of thinking where I almost think you almost sometimes have to love like the people who stick out for D3 athletics sometimes love sports more than D1 athletes. And like it sounds crazy in the moment, but I mean, like people, if you see, for example, if you see our girls cross country team, that is passion for your sport. These girls don't have to be there, but they are running all the time, and like even they'll go home for breaks, and they'll still do like their crazy mileage practices on their own. Yep. And like that's just a perfect example of people who love their sport. Like they're not getting paid; they do it for each other, and they do it because they love it.
Division I is basically like having a full-time job.
Exactly. Yeah.
It really is. You're doing that constantly. I don't know how many practices and stuff, but you basically have a full-time job if you're playing a Division I sport. In Division III, it's not super time-consuming, but yeah, huge difference.
Well, that wraps up the question, but that goes into, we're going to go right into our last bit of this little talk, and that is we're going to talk real fast. It's not going to be super long, but we're going to briefly talk about why we think that high school athletes should be should be more invested into playing college sports, because a lot of times, especially in our hometown, a lot of people who are really gifted and talented, they don't want to pursue college athletics. So we're just going to briefly kind of talk about why you should and what the perks are of doing that. Just kind of raise that.
Okay, here's my thing about that. Because especially when it comes to sports, high school sports in smaller schools like that, they don't have what I would say is the proper coaching for that. And that plays pretty badly into the students, into the athletes' like love for the sport. And not being like from a small school limits you on your resources. So not having good coaches doesn't just like elevate you to just a certain limit that you could probably be higher at, but it also if you're already at a higher level and you have a coach who you don't completely agree with because they're not the most, let's see how the best way to say it, they're not the most qualified,
it's
credible, I guess, yeah, to be coaching that sport, you lose love for that sport. For sure, definitely. And a lot of times staying in high school sports is mainly because of the friends you have in that sport that keep you there. So when you grow up with that kind of mentality where, well, I'm doing this sport because my friends are in it and they make it fun, and then you try and play college, you're not going to last in there very long, like at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you have to devote a lot more. It's Division III is still a higher jump from high school, and it still takes a lot more. So when you actually finally get pushed and you get good coaching, you're not used to it. And a lot of times it breaks people. But playing in division or just playing college sports in general, a lot of times will ruin your love for that sport. I can honestly say that my junior year I was pretty close to like losing my love for soccer, and it had nothing to do with the people. It had nothing to do with the coaches, because I love my coaches. I love Coach Corey. I love Coach Beal. I love Coach Brooks, and all of them. They're amazing people on and off the field. But it just knowing the success that you were able to have in high school and stuff, and then trying your best to carry that over into a collegiate level and just having it being completely different. It changes your mentality, and it really opens your eyes. So it's really hard to stay in love with that sport, and you really, really have to love it to be able to tell yourself that this is sometimes the way it's going to be, and you have to work harder, and you can't give up, and you have to stick with it. It's a big brain buster there, but.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree, and also I kind of had not the same, but similar aspects where I competed a lot better time-wise and just more fit when I was in club going into my college years, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did better in some events in college, but all around I think I was a better swimmer in club. And so it was frustrating going to that point where you just weren't, doing well. But I think my biggest thing about colleges, and this is the thing that I think really breaks people
is that people always, for some reason, have this idea that if I'm doing college athletics, it's either D1 or nothing.
Yeah.
Which a lot of them, they'll like ask us, so like, oh, how do you like Manchester? And we'll be like, oh, yada, 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 it's pretty good. We like it. The coaches are cool. And they'll be like, oh, is Manchester give scholarships? And like, it gets to the point where just like, that's not really the point. So I feel like a lot of people think that I want to go to IU, I want to go to Purdue, and I'm just like, oh, well, what do you want to do? And they'll be like, okay, well, I want to be a nurse. I'm like, okay, well, did you look into maybe doing your sport at UIndy or IUPUI? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you say you are having a good senior year in your sport, or you say you love volleyball or track or whatever. I'm like, it doesn't have to just be IU or Purdue, which I think is like the majority of the places, or ISU, people from our hometown at least go to. Those are schools. It's either IU, Purdue, or those bigger D1 schools. And I think it's a lot of times because it's a lack of knowledge from their resources that really give them a wider, broader scale or idea of where they can continue or pursue more of their sport.
And don't get me wrong. Like sometimes some people just want to go to the bigger schools, and sometimes they want to go to smaller schools. It depends on the variety and what people want. But when it comes to sports, a lot of times people sometimes they'll just go wherever they want just to say they played college sports or anything like that. And a lot of times they'll get in their own heads that they're not good enough to play college, or that they're burnt out and they don't even want to try it. So they'll settle for just sticking with school and playing out, which it isn't a terrible thing to do, but like playing college sports is a wonderful experience, and I think if you have the opportunity to do it, I definitely say that you should do it, because it's great. Like it pushes you to your limit, and it makes you into a better person. It shows you so many things that high school sports just cannot, and it really makes you grow as a person.
It's great networking too.
Yeah, amazing networking, and it's an awesome experience, and everyone that has an opportunity to do it, I think, should not overlook it.
Yeah, that's also going back on what he said. He says something like, that's honestly one of the things I hear the most when I suggest not just swimming to a person I know, but like if someone's like, oh, I want to do track, I'm kind of considering doing track. I'm just like, oh, have you ever thought about doing it in college at a D2, D3 level? Literally every single time, I think the first thing I hear is, I'm not good enough to do that. And I'm just like, if you are sitting down and you're already doubting yourself, then that's kind of your answer. But it really takes a lot. It's looking for the right college. It takes a lot of research. It's not easy. It really isn't. Because you have to find something that fits your major, and if you want to do college sports, you have to find something that fits the program that fits you as an athlete. And so, but you actually have to go out and look for it. You can't just assume that the bigger schools are it or nothing. So, like Angel said, like if you're into big schools, then you're set. They're all right there. But sometimes you have to do a little bit more looking. It's a little harder than most people. Just because your friends found Purdue or ISU really fast and they got in doesn't mean it's going to always be that easy for you. Because maybe you want to do track and field. Maybe that means you might need to look into some D3 schools or D2 schools or NAIA. So,
yep.
Yeah, that's about it. Is there anything else you want to say? No?
For those of you kiddos who do end up playing college sports, definitely go into it knowing that it will not last forever. One day will come, and it might not even be your senior year. It might be before that, where you just know that your time has come and that you have to hang up the cleats, you have to hang up the towel, you have to hang up the volleyball shoes, anything like that. That at one day, all of this will come to an end, and you have to be okay with that. And you can't sit there and like cry over it because it's over. You need to rejoice and be happy that you even had the opportunity to do it. And that will make everything so much better. If you know that it comes to an end. My soccer days have come to an end. A couple weeks ago, my swim career, my diving career has come to an end. And I went out in the best way possible, and I do not regret a thing. and it is a remarkable journey, and it's sad that it's over, but on to bigger and better things. So definitely always keep that in mind, for sure.
I think that's a good way to wrap up. So, yep. Follow us on Instagram. I'll put the link below. Share, like, and just being weird. Yeah. Catch you next time.
Whoa.